You cannot initiate the process of change until there is need. So what is your need? The need is probably a better stay in life or a better experience in life. So if that need does not exist in the first place, there's no way you can command change. So probably you are sick. What is your need? Your need is health. So that is what will foster or will initiate this whole process of change. You'll begin to change behaviors. You'll begin to visit some place called hospital, because this is a need you've captured in yourself. This is something you've discerned that honestly, without it, life may spit me out. So you will start doing something about it. So that's the first cycle of change. You cannot begin to change something you don't know. You are changing something from one stage to the other. You get that? So you cannot change that which you don't know. You cannot change that which you don't have. You don't have an exact idea what exactly it is. So it is important to note that there has to be a need in the first place. The second phase of the cycle of change is agency. Now, this means actively taking actions to address the need. Alright? Now, this is the phase where you now take actions to address the need that you've identified. It may be need in whatever way, the need for presence, the need for attention, the need for value. Now, however you define any of the three, that's up to you. That's your thing. But the point is, now the second phase you have, it has to do with agency. That means actively taking actions to address that specific need. So the process to take necessary actions, of course, starts with embracing the need. You have to come to terms with your ex, right? You have to know that it's not an illusion. The need is real. You get? Don't deny or assume. You have to understand that need won't go away. It's there. It's there to stay until you do something about it. It's there to stay until you take an action against it for the sake of the change that you desire. Now, if you just watch it to move by, then that is what is called passivity. And you don't change it, it will continue eating you up and everybody who is attached to you. And that's how the world becomes a painful state, a painful place to stay. Why? Because you are not the only one who affects your life. Anything you do affects somebody next to you, either directly or indirectly. You get? There are people who, by you not doing what you're supposed to do, or addressing your need, they'll have their life become 2 times heavier than it was. You get? Because now you become an added responsibility to them. So it's important you embrace the need. That is the first thing you need to do, so that you can actively take the right actions to address that need. So you have to embrace the need. Know that it is real. If you are sick, the point is you are actually, it is real. You are sick, and if you don't do something about it, it will continue doing wrong things to your body, and eventually it will kill your presence on this planet. So it's important that you understand that the need is real. Yeah, you have some issues with your with your mind in one way or the other. Probably you are having stress. In one way or the other you have depression. The thing is that need is real. You have that need, and you need somebody's attention to help you vent out your problems to them. So if you don't do something about it, it's going to kill you eventually. It's going to kill you. It may not kill you instantly, but it's going to do something bad to you. So you have to embrace that need, and you be like, wow, I really need help. And this thing is real. I understand it's real. I don't want it this way. That's the point. It is not negative confession, but the point is that at the moment we are speaking, it is real. But I want to be a person who is healthy, a person who is focused, a person who is sober, a person who is ready for action. So you embrace the need, all right? So you don't assume it. You don't feel some headache and you be like, okay, there's no headache there. Well, the point is that you hope that headache will be healed, but at the moment it is there. So you can't deny it. You deny it to give it an opportunity to eat you more. So you have to embrace the need. And the second step in this phase that everyone needs to do so that you can progress towards the change that you desire is to seek out help. All right, the fact that you need your need exists already tells you that you are at the moment insufficient by yourself, or as you are. Okay, so the fact that the need itself exists, all right, it already tells you that at the moment you are insufficient by yourself. That means without external intervention, you by yourself are not sufficient enough, yet the problem is yours, so you need help. All right, or as you are, that means probably right now you are a child or you are young, so as you are, you cannot be able to fend for yourself, so you need somebody's help to take care of you. All right, so you need to seek out help. That's the second thing. Well, the moment you identify your need, the second step is to seek out help. All right, you have to recognize that the need, that necessity, it only exists because I'm insufficient at the moment. You get, so you need help. And now to effectively seek help, you need to first of all recognize and acknowledge leverage. All right, to remember, we are speaking about seeking out help. So you have to understand that the fact that you need that help already tells you that you are insufficient in one way or the other. All right, you are really insufficient, and it's not exactly because you are lazy or because you are not valuable. No, this is not an a war against your ego in any way. No, this is acknowledgement. You need help, and you can't actually rise without the help. So what you need to do now to effectively seek the right help, because again not everybody can help you, is to recognize and acknowledge leverage. All right, by recognizing, we mean that you have to identify with reference to your needs. You remember, the need is the anchor point here. You cannot be able to identify the right person to help you or the right channel to receive help unless you properly understand your need. Otherwise, you'll get people doing things for you thinking they are helping you, only to find out that they're actually harming you in one way or the other. Yeah, so you really need to recognize that. Then the second word here is acknowledge. That means you have to appreciate. Don't be too proud to not appreciate people who can help you. You get, you have to appreciate them, and by appreciating them, it means that you have to actually comply. The moment they start helping you, you really need to comply. If they tell you to do something, you just do it, because after all, you couldn't do it by yourself. So you have to agree with their terms of helping you. That's why, again, it's important you find the right people to help you, because if you go to the wrong person to help you, who has the means to help you, they may end up exploiting you, and whatever was a need to be met now adds other needs that were not part of the plan. So you have to appreciate. The third word here is leverage. Now, leverage is any influence that can be used to gain advantage. Okay, any influence that can be used to gain advantage. So the change you want, you have to understand, is not easy. This is a cycle, because change keeps happening in life. You get, so you are not just going to land there once. No, it takes time, it takes process, depending on the kind of need that you have. So you have to utilize leverage, because in most cases you don't have the power by yourself. Okay, you don't have the strength by yourself. Alone, you cannot do it. You need somebody to step in. You need someone to leverage on. You get, so, and by leveraging, we are saying that this is influence that can be used to gain an advantage over the systems, an advantage over the time. You get, there are things that can take 10 years to build, but with leverage, you can use probably even 2 years, depending on the kind of leverage you've gotten. You see, so it is really important. There are offices you may never enter, privileges you may never experience in life, but with leverage you can actually experience them. When somebody gives you their credibility or offers you their credibility, they give you their reputation, their value. You say what? And they say, you know what? Ride on my value. You get, because they've understood how change usually happens. So when you get such, please take advantage of it and become a good person, and do the best you can to ensure that you don't go back to the same mess you've just come from. So leverage is very important. So to effectively seek help, again, I'll tell you that you need to recognize and acknowledge leverage. right? Now, the third thing in this phase, you have to engage strategies. Okay, you need to engage strategies. Now, a strategy is a plan of action. So in the second phase of agency, you just can't do things haphazardly. You have to have a plan. That is engaging strategies. And strategy is a plan of action. So you want to find somebody you want to help you, and how exactly do you engage them? What's the plan? All right, what's the plan to do this thing? And why that is so is because you don't have all the time in life. You get, there are things, if time goes against you, man, you are off the game, you see. So you really need to have a plan. That means is a line of action, so that you don't end up, throwing your fist in the air, thinking that you are making progress, only to find out that you are making movement without progress. Now, in this phase, by engaging strategies, you have to get your math right. Otherwise, you will cause trouble. You get? Why I'm saying that is because there is what plus what equals what. You get? That math has to be right. You can go to an engineering school and then you want to graduate as a doctor. Probably a medical doctor, that is. Probably if you do your master's degree, you may be given the title of a doctor, but I'm not meaning that doctor. I mean that practitioner who actually goes to the hospital to take care of the sick people. You cannot go. It cannot happen that way. That equation has to be checked. That need that you have, there is what constitutes to that need. You see. So without that, or without those variables in place, you cannot achieve the desired change. So that's why you see people get to meetings, they brainstorm. That's why you see people get to meetings, they make plans. The plan is important because every road leads somewhere. Okay, every road leads somewhere. So if you take on the wrong road, it will still lead somewhere, that's the point, but not the place you desired to be. So your math has to be right, and this is where again you need leverage, because you cannot be able to know exactly the terrain of a place you've never been to. So that's why mentorship is important in such a state where in this phase of agency, because you don't want to waste your effort, you don't want to waste your resources also, because as you are engaging agency here, remember you are utilizing resources, you are utilizing your presence, you are utilizing your attention, you are utilizing your value, and anytime you utilize this, you expect that they are going to grow and come back to you better than they were. So the reason why you have the need to give is because you also have the need to take. That means that you give so that in the end you can take it away. It may not exactly be in the same place, but probably may be the same thing that you want to take from somewhere else. So you want to make sure that when you give your value, that value also gives you value in exchange, or it gives you presence, or it gives you attention. So the moment you don't do your maths right in the place of engaging strategies, what will happen is that you'll make an investment that has no returns, and you'll be disappointed, and at some point your resources, your intrinsic resources, will be exhausted. So you'll no longer have the value or the enough value to trade with to get the change that you desire. You see, so it is important that you get your math right here. So embrace mentorship, embrace leverage. You have to have somebody who is guiding you. It may be a one-on-one person, or you may go over the internet and get credible people who can help you to make the change that you want to see. You get, the point is that the way the world has been structured these days is that you can always have a mentor, either real life or virtual mentor, and it will help you maybe passively or actively. The point is you have to make sure that you get your strategy right, so that you don't exhaust your resources without seeing the need that you so desired for. Now, moving on, the third phase of the cycle of change is actually opposition. That's the third phase in the cycle of change. Remember, we are saying that this cycle means that this process gets back to where it started. It keeps repeating itself. So anytime you want to see a change, these phases will actually play out in that specific phase. So the third phase again is opposition. Now this means objection, resistance, or conflict. Objection, resistance, and conflict. Now change is not easy, of course you know it. if you've wanted to change something, or you've made yourself, you've gotten into a journey where you want to see a given change, you can testify that honestly change is not easy, and neither is it friendly. In most cases, change is not friendly. All right, so you have to get to terms with that. So that's where this opposition usually comes in, and there will always be something that wants to object to you, always something or somebody wants to conflict with you, or will get into conflict with you, because your change also means a lot of things. So I've realized that there are types of opposition you will get in this phase, and the first one is internal opposition. All right, now internal opposition, this is the inside enemy, expressed especially in the mind. All right, the inside enemy, that is the internal opposition, because this phase again is like a war. This is a war phase, I must say that. And the first war you have to fight is actually the war of the mind. This is the inside enemy, and it comes, number one, in forms of fear. Right, it comes in form of fear. Now, and fear I've defined for you as the unevidenced conclusion on what is, in an attempt to know what it could be. Okay, so fear is an unevidenced conclusion on what is, in an attempt to know what it could be. So you want to get a new house or a new job, and you be like, what? So if I leave the current job, what if I don't get a new job? And you be like, well, I will suffer, and I won't be able to live again well, I won't be able to educate my children, and every other thing. But the point is, who told you that exactly? How do you know it's going to happen? What evidence do you have it's actually going to happen for you? It may have happened for your neighbor, but what proof do you have that is going to happen to you? So the moment now you take that possibility of an outcome to be real and to be the exact real thing, then that becomes fear. And fear will prevent you from taking action. That's the point. Fear will prevent you from taking action. So the moment you begin to take an action, and then you be like, what if, and then you make conclusion of the what ifs, what will happen is that you will abort the process. You will abort the process. That's the point. So fear is an inside enemy. It's an opposer who comes from the inside, and they're usually very powerful, because internal oppositions are powerful because they are with you all the time. When you are asleep, they are with you. When you are awake, they are with you. When you are working, they are with you. When you are seeking the change, they are with you. When you are up, they are with you. When you are down, they are with you. That's the point. So they are usually very powerful, because they'll keep re-echoing that, whether you are, no matter what condition you are in. So if you don't find a way to fight fear through courage, if you don't have a way to fight fear through boldness, through the right knowledge, through the right encouragements, I can tell you, fear will end up keeping you down. So it is important that you make sure that you address fear. And the second way this internal opposition comes in is in form of doubt. That is lack of confidence. You lack confidence in what you are doing. You be like, okay, so if I go to ask for help, what if they don't help me? What if they turn me down? What if again? I mean, I'm not eloquent enough. I'm not the best of the best. I'm not the best performer in this thing. So you lack confidence, and you be like, hey, I cannot go because so and so is this boss's favorite, and you fail to take the adventure that you need for your life. So you are unable to dare the unknown because you lack confidence. So you have to have believe in yourself. You have to have that trust that honestly you can do it. You may not have enough reasons to do it, but at least have the reason that you want the change that bad, so you dare to do it. You get? So that's how internal opposition comes, in form of fear, and secondly in form of doubt. And the second opposition you face in this phase is the external opposition. Now, this is resistance from or hindrances that come from external forces, which are, number one, people, number two, resources, number three, nature, which are the forces of the universe, which are defined as the forces of the universe. Now, we're speaking about external opposition. I'm sure the moment you had opposition, the first thing that went to you is just outside of, or at least external opposition, but you've seen that actually there is internal opposition, and that's actually the strongest. But again, yes, the external opposition is true, and it comes from these three, or at least it will be channeled from these three, the first one being people. Now, people can oppose you, right? You are probably a government official and you want to enact changes. Honestly, you know, and you've seen probably in your countries, not all people are usually for the change that the leader is proposing. So in most cases, they will have people, pacing against them to make sure that they don't do or execute the changes that they wanted. You see, so it is important to understand that people can oppose you. It can include even family. You want to take a decision in life that is against the family morals, that is against the family culture. They'll fight you. Yeah, they'll oppose you, of course, until they see the result. All right. So it's important to understand that people can oppose you, including your friends, including your spouse. They can oppose you when you want to make a change. Yes, that change is good, but they just can't see the value of your change, and they are not appreciating the value of your change. That is what happens. So you need to be careful. You need to just have it at the bottom of your mind. Sometimes the people you think are going to support you, these are the same people who are going to fight you. And at some point, it will discourage you greatly, and it will cause you pain, because you'll be like, okay, you are the people I was expecting to give your attention to me, your presence to me in this battle for change, and your value for me so that I can have the leverage for change. But you are the ones that are fighting my own progress and my own growth. The pain will be there. So be ready for it. That's the face of opposition. It always happens. You get it always happens. You probably have somebody you love, but their family is fighting you. They think you are not a good enough match for them. They want to stop those they want to stop those efforts in any way, to halt them by every means possible, and you find that you are having a rough headway through, because the people that should be giving you the support are not giving you the support. So you find that the journey becomes painful. You see, so it is you need to have it at the bottom of your mind. You need to be ready to be to engage in a fight with people at some point, because they will oppose you. They will not always be your friends. At some point, they will fight you. So you need to be strong enough and make yourself ready for that anytime you want to enact a change in your life. Now, the second is resources. Again, resources can fight you. Resources can oppose you. Okay, you want to go from one country to the other, but you don't have enough money. So what will happen is either you borrow or you just don't go. So if you don't leverage on somebody who will be kind enough to believe in your vision, and you tell them, you know what, this is why I want to go to this and this country, so please believe in my vision enough to help me in this, so they can decide to help you and you go. Or they decide to lend you some money and they tell you, you know what, I believe in your dream so much, so I'm lending you this money, go, and then after all things are fine, you're going to give the money back to me. Unfortunately, now at some point you may find that you don't even have borrowing power in the first place, because you've not shown any track record of financial intelligence or financial strengths or capabilities. So people won't have the security or the guarantee that you're going to refund their money to them, so they fail to lend you, and at that point your dream may be shattered, or at least you may have a challenge trying to execute the need that you have. So resources can hinder you, they can oppose you. You see, it can include also human resources. So you need probably 1,000 people or a certain number of people to vote for you within a social setup, so that you can get to a position you want to change, probably a country or to change an organization. But the people that are supporting you aren't enough to meet the quorum, you see. So at that point you will be disadvantaged. That it is true you have the value inside you, it is true that you can actually make the change you need to see, but people don't believe in you enough to invest their presence and their attention and their value on you. So that becomes a hindrance, an external opposition in terms of resources, you see. Yeah, and the other thing could include, or the other type of external opposer, is actually nature. Nature, by that I mean the forces of the universe. All right, you probably want to live long, but here comes an illness or a disease that nobody has found a cure to, and it threatens your life, literally threatens your life. And unless there is some divine intervention of some way, honestly, this thing is going to kill you. And everybody sees that, and that you also know that for sure. So that can be the nature itself fighting you, fighting the need for you to change probably the cycle of your family pattern. Probably this disease has been coming down from the earliest person that has been. Now it is on you. So the nature itself is fighting against you to address the need of that change, you see. So nature can fight you. You probably want to fly some rocket to space, but unfortunately the forces of the universe say, like, you know what, you are staying on Earth. You are not going to any Mars anywhere. You're not going to any moon anywhere. You are staying on Earth. That's the point. It can actually go against you. You probably have had people who got out from home and they said, you know what, I'm going to this country, I'm going to do this and this, but unfortunately weather became bad and then their plane crashed. That was the force of nature opposing them, saying, you know what, buddy, you're not going to see another day. So nature can oppose you. Now whoever drives nature, that's a thing by itself. So you have to understand nature itself can oppose you. Now it's also good to understand that this is where also divinity and spirituality usually comes in, and you need to be careful about this, that even divinity can also oppose you. All right, God himself can oppose you. That is probably when you want to go and fight his people, or the need that you want to enact is actually a need that goes against now the needs of the people. That again, divinity can actually fight you, can oppose you, you get. So this is where you find that our spiritual forces can oppose you here, because I've also put them under nature and the forces of the universe. You find out that you've done everything right. Honestly, everything you've done right. You've identified the need. You've sought the right help. You are making or taking the right actions. The plan is right. Everything is right, except that it's just not working. That's the point. Everything check, but it's just not working. I'm not sure, but probably in African setup, these things are true, and you've seen them in most cases where you may have heard stories like somebody said, don't bury me in a certain location, and once they died, the family members be like, okay, we are still going to do against the will of the deceased. And the point is, probably as they are going towards the wrong direction, at some point all the vehicles and their fleet just go off and they just won't go. But when they decide to go back, suddenly everything gets back to place. Why? Because there are some forces of the universe that are actually fighting against the change that these people want to see. So forces of the universe can oppose you, whether they are natural or spiritual in nature. The point is, they can be an external opposition against you. So the need you want to see in your family, the need you want to see in your company, in your life, in your world, it can be actually be faced with the challenge of the opposition by nature or the forces of the universe. So it's important to understand that, especially if you are a believer, before getting into certain projects of changing your life in any way, you honestly need to put some good prayer into it, so that at least you can have this box checked. Because if the forces of the universe are against you, oh my, it will be hard for you. Honestly, it will be tough. Okay, you found that at some point the waves just rose and they destroyed the whole cities. They destroyed civilizations. You see, that's a hard thing. These are forces of nature acting against the policies of a government or the dreams of a certain region. You've heard that there are places that are prone to earthquake. So you want to develop your place. You want to make your life, the lives of your citizens as excellent as possible. But here comes nature. Nature fights against that. So that is an opposition by itself. It's fighting against the very peaceful existence of humanity. So that can happen. And by now you recognize that there's actually the positive side of these forces, and there's the negative side of these forces. So you really have to have that in mind. The nature or the forces of the universe can oppose you. And now in this phase of opposition, I can tell you, I think for me, I believe that this is the phase where generally your integrity towards your aim is tested, or your intention. I think this phase is actually there to prove whether you actually want what you want bad enough, you get, because the prize is not just given to anyone who gets to the race, but that treasure or that prize is given to the one who finishes the race, especially on time, you get. So that's the thing about life. This phase actually proves your integrity towards what you want. All right, it's there to prove, are you really worthy of this? You get, because again, change is power. The moment you change status, the moment you change your condition, that is power that has been wielded to you. Now you can do that power. You can do with that power whatever you want, either to harm people or to help people's life become better. So it is important to understand that this phase has to exist. Otherwise, you'll have power handed over to the wrong people, and the moment the power is handed over to the wrong people, then society will become a really chaotic place to be. So nature itself also has to have this phase in mind, to know that honestly, you cannot get to the desired change until you prove that you are worthy to actually receive the change that you want. All right, and the final phase of the cycle of change is what I call retreat or unveil. Retreat or unveil. That is the final phase of the cycle of change. And if you've made it this far, I want to really thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the Motivate series with James WN, and I want to encourage you to subscribe, share, comment, and stay tuned till the end. All right, so retreat stroke unveil. There some may find opposition too high, risky, and unworthy, so they decide to retreat or give up. So after opposition, the path splits into two. Now it splits into two in that some decide to give up, or the point is, some actually decide to give up. They feel like this thing has been too high, the problems have been too risky, and honestly, it's not. This fight is not worth it. You get? So they'll be like, "Wow, I cannot continue this anymore. The loss has been too high, the battle has been too rough, and I just can't fight anymore." And what they do? They back off and they give up. So somebody went on a change or on a quest to change the world, and unfortunately the world ended up changing them. So this is what happens. It's either you change the world or the world will change you. So it is important that the moment you take on a quest for a change, you need to have it at the back of your mind. If you don't finish this cycle, the world will have ended up changing you rather than you changing it. There's no bargain to that. So you have to be willing enough to sail through the storm, because if you don't get through the storm, again, you will not have proven yourself worthy. If you don't get through the storm, you will not have control. And the point is, if you retreat, honestly, the change that will have happened to you may not be a change that will be desired. It will be a change that everyone will be left, looking at you, and it will really be a bad image that is left on that. So there's a probability that most people give up on what they wanted simply because oppositions were too high. And I can tell you, the reason why opposition will be too high is because there's something precious that should come out of the thing that you are looking towards a change. So if it becomes too high, you may have to really think about it and be like, okay, so if I sail through and I get to the other end, how much power will be wielded to me to be able to continue making my life better in the first place, and that of those behind me. But then again, from this path, some who don't give up will now get to the other phase called unveil. Now, unveil means to show for the first time, to reveal, or to solve the problem. That's actually the desired face now. Everybody now, this is the face that you desire, all right? This is where you want to be. This is where you dream to actually get to. This is where your hope is, unveil, where you want that thing to show for the first time, the change that has never been in your family, the change probably that has never been in your region, the change that has never been in your country. That's the change you want to see, okay? So this is the phase of unveil, where this thing is becoming for the first time. We've had people who have world records. The reason why they are called world records is because that thing has been established for the first time. It has never been. So it is a world record, and that's what every one of us is dreaming about. But this phase, you don't come if you give up, so you have to endure the process. But this is usually a very sweet phase, because after all the fights, after all the battles, after all the pains, now you have something to show for all the pain that you've been through for the first time. And suddenly everybody who opposed you and everybody who said bad things about you, now they'll clap for you, because this unveil season is usually very sweet. It's usually very awesome, very glamorous, and to be desired, okay? It means to reveal, to solve a problem. So finally the problem is solved. So finally the quest, finally you have your conquest, you get? And it's awesome. It also means to satisfy the need. So the need was the first reason why you took on the journey, and now it is satisfied. Now it is there, and you are happy about it. You are joyous about it. Now it is the phase of your desired change, where you longed for and worked for. Finally, what you longed for and worked for finally bears. But again, it's important to understand that there is a price that comes with this phase, and this is the price of sacrifice. Okay, yes, I know it's a very glamorous phase to be in, where the change you wanted now is finally here, and now everything is all right, everything is powerful as you wanted it to be. Now you have a trophy to show for the sacrifice you made. But again, it comes with a price of itself, and the price is sacrifice. If you don't sacrifice, forget about this phase. You get? If you don't want to let go, forget about this phase. Why is that so? Because you have to give up something dear to you, and that could include character, it could include behavior, it could include friends, it could include associations, probably jobs, it could include a business, it could include a venture, and probably a lot of other things. Why? Because again, there's also we've called this a cycle of change. That means it keeps repeating itself. It is an unending process. So now that you've gotten what you wanted, if you don't take care to protect what you've gotten, the change will now reverse and take you back to the wrong need. And this time it will be worse, because again, the cycle has to continue. If you become a billionaire right now, honestly, there are some behaviors you will literally have to part ways with. Otherwise, you'll become poor. And if you become poor after getting to such a position, the possibility of you ever getting back there again is close to zero. Why? Because you've already spent your value, you've already spent your presence, you've already spent your attention to some degree. That means if you relapse, you may not have enough internal resources to actually afford you the same result you have yesterday. So you have to part with some behaviors. Otherwise, your desired heaven will be corrupted and will be taken off you. So you need to protect that, to understand that. Honestly, there are some friends you'll have to part way with, and this is where people, say things like the rich are usually very selfish. At some point, it may be true, but at some point is that they are protecting what they fought for. Why? Because your mindset is a powerful thing, and they say you become an average of the 5 people that are around you. So if the so-called your friends refused to change, if your so-called friends refuse to evolve, they refuse to make the sacrifice that is needed for a change, what will happen is that they will corrupt your mindset, and at some point you'll go down with them. You get? It is easier for somebody it's easier for somebody to pull you down than it is for you to take or to lift them up. You get? So there are certain friendship you may have to do away with. There are certain associations you may have to do away with, because they no longer represent the moral standard that you need to satisfy the endurance of that phase called unveil. You get, and it's usually painful because emotionally you want this person's presence, and intrinsically you want this person's attention, but that the values are crashing. You get, crashing against each other. So as a result, you cannot stay together. You are opposing each other in terms of value, and that alone will not allow you to stay peacefully in that level of unveil. So you may have to do away with them. It is painful, it is hard, and it is tough, but that's the price you have to stay on the face of unveil. Now, that's the price for the change, sacrifice. So the cycle of change gets again from need, and then it travels again to agency. From agency it goes to opposition, and from opposition it may either go to retreat or unveil, but I hope for you it's going to go to unveil. And then after unveil is done, the cycle repeats itself, and again you get into a need. Why? Because no matter what needs you meet in this life, you are also going to have another need that comes out of it. I'll say this to you, that a solution is equals to a problem. That means that no matter what solution you get in life, at some point it will come with its own problem. All right, so have it at the back of your mind that probably now your desire was to be that rich guy, and now that you've become rich, there's that need that comes is to protect your asset. The moment you are just the other guy, you could go wherever you want to go, however you want to go, whenever you want to go, and do a lot of other stuff that you want to do, and nobody had probably anything to do with you, and they really never had any attention or something grabbing their attention from you. So you could even probably leave your house open and go and do your things, and you will still come back and find everything all right. But now you've become rich. So what happens now? There's another need for security that comes in. You have to protect your asset. You do things like insurances. You get, when you're just any other guy, you probably don't even think about insurance. But now you become rich, you are like, wow, this thing was tough. So you have to have a lot of insurances for your life, and the needs continue, and the cycle repeats itself. You wanted the need you had was marriage. Now you have marriage. Now what another need arises. You need to actually keep the marriage. You see, you need to take care of your wife, your husband. You need to take care of your kids. You need to make sure they school, and a lot of other needs develop from that. So this is a cycle that keeps happening, and it's an unending cycle provided you are alive. And I've not found out anything you can do to make sure that you are immune to change, or something that you can do to not have the necessity for change anymore. But I can guarantee you that this process is really true, and if only you can embrace it and recognize it, then you can honestly get to the change that you desire to see. And I'll be glad to hear, or at least to get some comments there one day, one time, how your life changed after listening to this. So again, thank you very, very much. That is the end of my submission on the cycle of change, and I believe that this has come heavy on you, and it's going to lead you honestly to be brave on the path that you have for change. And I'll be proud also to hear that something good happens to your life. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for staying tuned till the end. Again, I encourage you to subscribe. Please make sure that you also comment and like. Let me know what your thoughts are concerning this. Let me know how your life is changing listening to this.